So are you looking to move to Seattle but not sure where to look at? Today we're going to talk about some pros and cons of Federal Way, Washington. What's going on, everyone? So I'm Baggio Saldivar. I'm a local realtor with Compass Real Estate here in Tacoma, Washington. I've been in the area now for about 5 years. I've lived and worked through Olympia up through Seattle and everywhere in between. And so if you have any comments, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Feel free to like and subscribe below as well. And let's dive right into it. All right, so Federal Way, Washington, right? Where is it at compared to Seattle? So it's about 20 to 30 minutes south of Seattle, depending on traffic, right? It is definitely a quieter setting than what you get at going up a little further north. And people are migrating, if you want to call it, they're moving down south a lot to Federal Way for a reason, okay? One of the main reasons is obviously you have more room to breathe, your money goes a little further, and you just have a quieter, home to come to. So it's not too far south, right? It's right in between Tacoma and Seattle, which are the two major big cities up here. So if you look on the map, right, it's Seattle, Federal Way, and then before you get down to the bend towards Fife and downtown Tacoma, you're right up before that. So a big pro to that too is if you're commuting to and from work, right, you kind of get out of having to deal with that initial traffic that's down south a little more. So you kind of beat that, you get home, and you really just have to deal with getting out of the city first. So another big reason, we already said it, right, is more bang for your buck, your dollar goes further, and that starts with the houses, with the homes, right? So if you're looking at Federal Way, now it's fluctuating a lot recently, but on average, you're looking at a home that's only about 60 to 65% of the cost of a Seattle home. Same home, but just different area, right? Different location. So at the same price, you're gonna get a lot more down in Federal Way than you are in Seattle, right? And that goes the same for gas, for groceries, for all other types of utilities and whatnot, and taxes too, if we're talking about property taxes as well. So county lines make a big difference too when you're talking about taxes and you're talking about rates. So cost of living and a nicer neighborhood and whatnot is a big pro, right? But con to Federal Way that some people see are depending on the school district. So some school districts are rated lower than Seattle, right? That's just the truth. You can look it up. Some areas of Seattle do just have the higher school district ratings. And so if you really want to make sure that that is on the top of your priority list, you should make sure that there's some other research done prior to looking at a home in Federal Way. Additionally, you really have to hone down on what area of Federal Way, but sometimes the crime rate is higher. And that it's not always violent crime, so it's a lot of non-violent crime too. If you want to call it like petty crimes, theft and whatnot. Now, Seattle has its fair share as well. So like I said, it's really depending on what neighborhood you're looking at and kind of like where you're planning on living your life in, because Federal Way is still, still a pretty decent sized region, right? So overall, Federal Way over the last 5 to 10 years has just become a lot more desirable, and that's quite frankly in large part having to do with people just not wanting to live in Seattle and that crazy hectic life, right? Especially with a family. Federal Way is growing, and it's definitely a great option for you if you're looking at something a little more affordable, a little more quiet, but still close to everything you need. Feel free to reach out. Feel free to put down in the comments any suggestions of other videos you'd like us to make, and we'll get back to you and see you guys later.